Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is not a review of Gen 13 Wired because I have not reread it yet. I totally forgot this thing existed, and it is freaking fantastic art by Richard Bennett. Jeez, that's amazing. Weirdly low resolution on the scan though. But anyway, where was it? Right here. And yes, so I don't know why this happens, but I watch all of Purchase videos all the way through. And yet it shows like barely watched it, barely watched it, barely watched it. Didn't watch it. I watched this. I think it has something to do with like this started to autoplay, but I don't know why a video I already watched would autoplay again, but that does seem to happen. So anyway, a lot of his videos are about saving the industry, and I was just randomly thinking about this morning. So my dad's like the nicest guy in the world, but this is sometime before COVID. I was visiting, and we were going through the drive-through, and he was using like these like 1950s New Jersey slang with a bunch of teenagers who had no idea. Like he was saying like "save the pickle," and I'm sitting there in the car, and I'm like, they're not gonna know what that means. He's like, "Save the pickle, save it." What does that mean? Just say no. He was saying like "save the pickle, hold the mustard." I was like, yeah, I think maybe some of them would understand "hold the mustard," but also "hold" and "save" are both kind of the same. They're gonna turn to each other and they're gonna say "save," and they're just gonna put the mustard and the pickle on there, which is what happened. But one of the recent ones he was talking about price. Also, this is whenever someone starts talking about, okay, this is a side subject. It's a little detour. Whenever someone starts talking about Gabby Rivera, Ms. Marvel, America Chavez, Squirrel Girl, Captain Marvel, and even Laura Kinney, the Wolverine, I know they're not a serious person, and they just care about is culture war. Like it's fucking 2025. Half of these characters don't even have their own books anymore. Gabby Rivera hasn't worked in comics in like 5 years. But anyway, at one point, a lot of his are talking about like we're gonna save this, we're gonna save that, we're gonna save this. But to the new generation, these people in their 20s and early 30s getting into comics, they don't perceive it as needing to be saved. To them, it's just a fun hobby. So I had ChatGPT, and it didn't do a great job because it was like, what was the average comic price in 1988? And it's like 75 cents. I'm like, I think it was like $1. But it was just kind of a little bit off. But basically, it said that things like candy bars, soda, cheeseburger, those had basically kept pace with inflation. Comics had doubled what it would be if it was just increasing by inflation. But the thing is, you're talking to a generation that goes to the drive-thru, buys a meal for themselves, and it's $12. They order a single meal for themselves from Grubhub, and it's $50. And I'm not talking about in New York City. I'm talking about anywhere in the country. So, to get a bunch of comics, they get 10 comics for $4 each. They're spending less than they spent on like one meal ordered from Grubhub. And I talk about all the time where, there's hundreds, there's thousands of accounts where it's just people in their 20s and 30s saying like, hey, I went to the comic shop. And then they fan their comics out, or they also seem to like to do this move where they show the side of it. Like, look how many it is. And they all kind of do this thing. And they never, ever, ever talk about the price. I don't know what the inflation was between 19 yes, it's getting worse. 1940 and 1988, but I'm sure there were people who's like, I used to buy Superman for a nickel. And I remember when it went up to a dime. I was darn tootin' angry. But none of the new generation thinks that comics need to be saved, like at all. They are completely fine with it. So it kind of reminded me of whatever 2019. My dad using New Jersey slang from 1959 with a bunch of teenagers who have no idea what he's saying. This new generation does not think that comics need to be saved. They like it as it is. They like that. And the very interesting thing is that this new generation is very into back issues. Like they love stuff from like the 70s and 80s. And they like modern stuff. They just like comics. And especially, I've done videos before. If you were to take away, well, it's kind of a moot point. Because if you don't talk about, I mean, I've seen my views go down by 80% because I don't do culture war shit anymore. So in this realm, yeah, people would really hate it if you took out culture war. But they are barely aware. That's why I don't do screenshots of them. I don't want them getting dragged in by either side to culture war, especially since they are not aware of it. They just know they played Marvel Rivals, they like that. Then they had a friend who recommended, the Ultimates line, the Absolute lines, they liked those. They liked Superman the movie from this year, they liked Fantastic Four, the movie from this year, and they got into comics and it's fun. It is relatively affordable to a generation that regularly pays, $15 to $50 for a single meal. And they don't have kids. They're in their 20s, they're in their early 30s, they don't have kids. Maybe they never will, so they don't have that massive extra expense. So comics does not need saving to the new generation of fans. Subtitle. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.